Today, we uncover the rise, glory, and fall of Hungary's royal bloodline, a kingdom forged in battle, drowned in betrayal, and reborn again and again under the shadow of foreign empires. Our story begins over 1,000 years ago. In the year 1000 AD, a warrior chieftain named Vike was crowned King Stephen I, later known as Saint Stephen of Hungary. His coronation wasn't just the birth of a kingdom. It was the transformation of an entire people, from pagan horsemen of the plains to staunch defenders of Christian Europe. Stephen united the fierce Magyar tribes under one faith and one crown. But unity came at a terrible price: rebellion, blood, and sacrifice. His own relatives rose against him, and his only son, Emmerich, died tragically young. When Stephen himself passed in 1038, Hungary was plunged into chaos. With no direct heir, the throne became a battlefield, with cousins, nobles, and usurpers all fighting for the crown blessed by Rome. For centuries, the Hungarian throne became both a prize and a curse. It passed through the hands of heroes and tyrants alike. There was Béla IV, who heroically rebuilt the kingdom after the Mongol invasion reduced it to ashes. There was Charles I, who restored royal power with an iron will and mountains of gold. And there was Sigismund of Luxembourg, who rose to become Holy Roman Emperor, yet spent years fighting his own nobles just to keep Hungary under his control. But the most tragic chapter began in the 5th-10th century, under King Matthias Corvinus, the so-called Raven King. He was without a doubt Hungary's greatest ruler, a scholar, a warrior, a visionary king who dreamed of a strong, independent nation. Under his reign, Hungary flourished with art, science, and military strength. He defeated the encroaching Ottomans, tamed the rebellious nobles, and made Buda one of Europe's great capitals. But when Matthias died in 1490 without a legitimate heir, everything he built began to crumble. Foreign kings fought over his legacy. Nobles sold their loyalty to the highest bidder. And beyond the southern borders, the Ottoman Empire waited patient, powerful, and seemingly unstoppable. In 1526, Hungary met its doom on the fields of Mohacs. King Louis II, only 20 years old, bravely led his army against the overwhelming Ottoman forces. It was a massacre. Louis drowned in a swamp trying to flee his body found days later, still encased in armor. With his death, Hungary's independence died too. After Mohacs, the kingdom was split into three. The west fell to the Habsburgs of Austria. The East Transylvania was ruled by local princes, and the center was crushed under the iron hand of the Ottoman Turks. For 150 long years, Hungary was not a kingdom but a graveyard of crowns. Yet out of ruin came rebellion. In the late 17th century, as the Ottomans were pushed back, Hungary rose again, but this time not as a free kingdom but as a subject of the Austrian Habsburg Empire. The Hungarian nobles desperately wanted autonomy. The Habsburgs demanded absolute control. The result was a centuries-long struggle between royal loyalty and a fierce national identity. In 1848, that struggle finally exploded. Inspired by revolutions sweeping across Europe, Lajos Kossuth and the Hungarian people demanded independence. The Habsburgs called for help, and the Russian Tsar sent his armies to brutally crush the rebellion. The dream of freedom was drowned in blood. Thousands were executed or exiled, and the royal crown was locked away, a symbol of power without a throne. But history is never finished. In 1867, Emperor Franz Joseph made peace, creating the Austro-Hungarian Empire. For the first time in centuries, Hungary had its own parliament, its own army, and the illusion of equality. Yet beneath the glittering gold and marble, resentment burned. The Hungarians now ruled over other nations, Slovaks, Croats, Romanians, repeating the very oppression they had once suffered. Then came World War I, the empire collapsed, the crown was lost, and the last Habsburg king, Charles IV, fled into exile. In 1918, Hungary became a republic, but chaos followed: communist revolutions, invasions, and civil war. By 1920, Admiral Miklos Horthy restored the monarchy, but without a king. Hungary became a kingdom ruled by a man without a crown. The royal line was finished. The holy crown of Saint Stephen, once the symbol of divine authority, became a relic locked behind glass. In the 20th century, Hungary's fate turned darker still. Allied with Nazi Germany during World War II, the nation fell into devastation once again. When the Red Army arrived, Soviet rule replaced fascism with communism. The last memory of the Hungarian monarchy was buried under red banners and iron ideology. Yet, even today, the crown of St. Stephen remains one of Europe's oldest and most sacred royal symbols, not of kingship, but of survival. Hungary lost its throne, its empire, its kings, but it never lost its soul. Because the true legacy of Hungary's royal line is not the gold of its crown, but the blood that forged it through war, betrayal, and the unbreakable will to rise again. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next dive into history. See you next time.